I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is KDot. Today's episode focused on the offensive coordinator position. We're just going to provide an update on what the Commanders have been doing over there, who they've been interviewing, and then we're going to transition to who we would like as the offensive coordinator. We're going to play a game called Play GM. So we're each going to be the general manager of the Washington Commanders. Which offensive coordinator would we hire and which quarterback would we start for the following season? So we're going to talk about that. Then we jump into the divisional round picks that we made, recap those, and then make our NFC and AFC championship picks respectively. We then jump into the comment mailbag as we always do and the after the pod. But first, as we always begin, KDot, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, although I just think I heard my neighbor who's putting a new bathroom in.
I was wondering what your facial expression was.
I was hoping the mic didn't pick it up, so I muted it real quick. Yeah. But it's been fucking loud all goddamn week. Then finally this morning I'm having peace, and then I just heard that, and I'm like, it sounds like somebody saying a sawzall to a bathtub. Like, it makes no goddamn sense. What's happening? I
thought I was explaining Play GM wrong. I was like, I feel like this is what we talked about.
No, I just freaked out a little bit because houses connected and live in a row house. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, why don't we?
Overall.
Good. Happy to hear it. Why don't we go ahead and jump on into it? The offensive coordinator update. Honestly, there's not a whole lot there. We are going to be interviewing Anthony Lynn, who is the assistant head coach for the San Francisco 49ers, has been a head coach in the league with the Chargers, and is also a Greg Roman disciple. He has spent time with Greg Roman, so we've mentioned Greg Roman as a possibility at offensive coordinator. Well, how about the guy that's worked with him that also likes to run the ball, that also likes to be physical? So we're going to be interviewing him, but of course the 49ers are currently in the middle of their run in the postseason. And then we interviewed Thomas Brown, who is the Rams, I believe, tight ends coach and also assistant head coach. I feel like everyone's an assistant head coach these days, but maybe
They're
not.
Giving it to a lot of people.
They are giving it to a lot of people, aren't they? But a lot of people have raved about Thomas Brown, both locally as well as nationally. He's also the youngest candidate that we are interviewing. He's only 36 years old, which is kind of cool. We talk about young offensive minds. At least I have. Pretty exciting. KDot, what do you make of the offensive coordinator updates so far? And then I guess if you want to answer, who do you think the favorite is at this moment?
So I love it, right? So like in the sense of, out Scott Turner, however you feel about Scott Turner, he's gone. It looks like they're doing their due diligence and bringing in a wide plethora of different kind of candidates in here to see what's what. Now, what will make me upset is if they do all this just to upgrade Ken Sampies to the offense.
That's where my money is, by the way.
Which is still what it feels like they're doing, right? It always feels as though they're kicking the tires on everything just to make it's almost to satiate the fan base. It feels like sometimes. I want to hope that they're actually doing the due diligence.
Is this similar to when we tried with the quarterback stuff?
Hey man, we tried to go get Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, we tried everything. And this is what happened. Now, while I believe that, because I do think that we heard they did try to make some phone calls other places. They were rebuffed immediately, and a lot of people didn't want to come here. But people are accepting the job interviews for the most part. I mean, other than what's his name? I forget the offense coordinator that we tried to interview, and Caldwell. Was it Caldwell?
Jim Caldwell. No. He wants to go for head coaching.
He wants to go for head coach. Yeah. So you're in a position where a lot of coaches could say, absolutely not. I'm just not even going to make the trip. There are a lot of people making the trip, which is cool. It's cool. In Washington, it is a rarity. It feels like that we have coaches or offense coordinators or anything that are willing to even walk through the doors. So it just makes me feel even better about changes are on the horizon. But it's just such a wide berth of guys that they're bringing in here. It's dope. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is super cool. And it is a wide range of people. So like other people we have interviewed. We just didn't mention right at this moment. So there's Pat Shurmur, there's Eric Studsville, there's Charles London. And just real quick, Pat Shurmur did not coach this past season, but he is an offensive mind in the league. Eric Studsville is I believe he is also an assistant head coach, also running backs coach for the Miami Dolphins.
He's my favorite.
He's your favorite, Eric Studsville?
So that's the thing is, like, if you look at the candidates that we just interviewed, Brown is probably the most exciting. I just don't think the situation itself is right for him. Like, if I'm him, I don't take this gig just yet. Because I think that, like, if it crashes and burns because we don't have the right quarterback in place, maybe Sam Howell's not the guy, and you have a head coach that might be a lame duck, where does that put you? It's almost like a wasted year. Can be to a certain degree. You need somebody that doesn't need this necessarily to build the resume.
Right.
So it's just a very weird situation, and I want the best for him because you hear a lot of amazing things.
Of course.
And as far as position coaches go, I heard somebody talk about this on Twitter not the other day, and it made total sense. Tight end might be the best position coach to hire for offensive coordinator, head coach across.
What was the argument there?
The argument is that when it comes to tight end, not only do they have to know all of the receiving concepts when it comes to the passing game, they also need the blocking concepts.
Okay.
So if you got like a running backs coach, they might not know both those things because they're not necessarily as involved in receiving game. On defense, you're not really sure what's happening on offense, right? So it's like, as far as the position, it does the most as far as what to do with what the offense is going to do and knowing everything about it. It's huge. And for him to have that role, and also Sean McVay handpicking him and saying, you're going to be my assistant head coach, speaks volumes to what it is I think his abilities might be going forward. I'd love to see him get a couple years of offense coordinator experience. And that's a guy I'd like to see maybe back here in Washington as a head coach one day.
Sure. Okay. No, I like the call over there. And then there's also, just real quick, we had mentioned Charles London. He's the quarterbacks coach for the Atlanta Falcons. This is basically the update without adding any additional fluff to it. So we're going to see what happens over there. Why don't we go ahead and play GM in that case, right? So we're already mentioning, hey, this is kind of who I'd like. This is what I would do. So again, the question here, KDot, is you are the general manager of the Washington Commanders, and you are allowed to pick your offensive coordinator. You're also allowed to pick your quarterback. Okay. And so here's how this is going to go. You are also keeping in mind resources for the future because you are a general manager. So if you want to bring in a Lamar Jackson, for example, if you want to bring in an Aaron Rodgers, whomever it may be, right? If you think Tua is available and you believe he's never going to get another concussion in his life, by all means, do what you want to do. If you were to make a trade, am able to be the other GM, and we could either negotiate, or I could just say, no, that's stupid, or yes, love the offer. Yep. So go ahead. The floor is yours. We want ideal offensive coordinator hire for you, and then what quarterback you want starting week 1 this coming season for the Commanders.
Okay. So if there's an offensive coordinator that I want right now, it's a guy that we haven't interviewed just yet. He hasn't been available to interview just yet because he is the quarterback's coach in Philadelphia, and his name is Brian Johnson. Now, this is a guy who has worked and done wonders, I think, with Jalen Hurts as far as what he's been able to do on the ground and also pass it through the air. Like, we're going to talk about what happened with our playoff predictions last, but Jalen Hurts has shown, even though he didn't have to do a whole lot of it, I can throw on your ass. And as far as offensive that have been extremely fun to watch, Philadelphia has absolutely been that. Nick Sirianni is more of a defensive-minded coach, if I'm not mistaken, right? So if you're looking at that aspect of it, is he? Or am I getting that wrong?
I thought he was more offensive. Let me double-check for you.
Yeah.
I want to say he was an OC.
No, he was an OC. He was definitely an OC. But he was definitely an OC. I know who I'm thinking about now. Yep. It's definitely an OC. But the idea that you have the head coach, you have the offense coordinator, you have the quarterback's coach, there's, as far as any other position coach that's extremely important, probably more even important than tight end, as much that's diversified. The most important is quarterback because he's working with quarterbacks. So a guy that's been in the quarterback room, been there in Philadelphia with an offense that's been an absolute juggernaut.
Would be a division higher.
Be awesome to kind of poach somebody away from Philadelphia. They've had a really good running game when they've decided to run, and the passing game has looked stellar, especially with the weapons they have. I think it could be really, really fun to have a guy like that here in Washington. And also knowing that, like, hey, You're a guy that has pedigree to a certain degree. This is the next natural step for you in your progression is in trying to make it. And unlike Brown, who has like no experience in the sense of play calling or anything like this, I have heard Brian Johnson has been involved in that to some degree. So I like that. I like that as far as the hire.
Okay. And what about your quarterback in that case?
Thomas Brady. Now,
all right.
Now,
how are you pulling that off?
I am pulling it off because we're reaching an amazing time in Washington where ownership is changing. So one thing that you can do, knowing Tom Brady wanted to be in Miami, is offer him percentage points on the fucking package. If you want to be a 5 to 10% owner of a storied franchise,
are you allowed to do that as GM?
We're going to do it in Miami for him.
All right. I feel like Ross was probably. I feel like the owner gets to throw.
Yeah.
In.
The owners get the owner will figure out that this is what needs
not
to
gonna
happen.
lie though, power move
Brady.
as KDot GM. I love it. Keep
GM is fucking making it happen. Okay,
perfect.
Tom, you're getting
no
5 to 10%.
ordinary GM here. Right.
It is what it is. Because here's the thing. I actually might think Dan Snyder might consider like, oh, well, I mean, changing hands to Tom Brady. I guess that's okay. That's could be worse, you know.
I mean, the valuation at $7 billion, 10%, $700 million that you're just giving the guy to play. I mean, now, is it incentive based? Is it incentive based? The percentage?
No, more of a time thing, right? More than anything else. It's not handing him $700 million.
Like stocks that can get vested. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm saying upward. It could get up to that point after a certain amount of years go by. So it's a slow roll for whoever the new owner is.
Okay. And
Dan Snyder, just throw that in the package. Whatever. We'll talk about it. Otherwise, I got some more emails on the server if I'm the GM that Congress might want to take a look at.
So I just want to quickly just point out something. So you have 35-year-old Brian Johnson, by the way, exciting talent over there. And you've got, how old is Brady now? 46, 47. So you've got a guy that's 10, 11 years younger than the QB. And this is going to be his first time officially calling plays for the GOAT.
Yes.
I love it. Please.
It's amazing because I just think that you got Tom in there right now. While I have my criticisms of Tom in Tampa Bay, where I think that he needs somebody to be able to check his ass. And that's what Bruce Arians was. It was never the offensive coordinator. It was that.
And that's why Bruce Arians was gone.
That's why Bruce Arians is gone. And they miss Bruce Arians this year.
Yes, they do.
And they also miss Antonio Brown. But the sadly,
we all miss Antonio Brown.
I don't. So the
couldn't tell the sarcasm.
After we did my fucking eyes on his Snapchat last week. Fuck him.
Dude, this guy's crazy. Anyway, go ahead. Let's not digress.
Yeah, fuck that. So yeah, I mean, I just think Ron Rivera, still stoic presence, can lay down the law. Okay. You get a Tom Brady in, it means you got offensive linemen that might want to show up to block for the GOAT. So it helps you as far as in free agency. And outside of that, Gronk apparently is already bored and thinking about making a comeback next year. I think we need a tight end. Why not the GOAT? So, like, at the end of the day, it's all GOAT status. And more than anything, you have a 5th-round quarterback in Sam Howell that had one start. It looked good. And what is better than to learn from the greatest to ever play for another season? Just chill there on the sideline. Hold that clipboard. Help out Brian Johnson and calling some of them plays for good old Mr. Brady.
Tell you what, now I would like you to put a percentage probability on this occurring.
0.001%.
I absolutely love that one at the very end.
Yes, it'll definitely be Sam Howell and Ken Zampese.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's probably where, once again, smart money is. I think we are just interviewing around, but the turmoil around the team when the ownership makes it such that it's not nearly as appealing. You look at the offensive pieces, right? I mean, Brian Robinson, who, by the way, how he's not even a nominee for Comeback Player of the Year is insane to me. He got shot. Work that way. I know, but he got shot.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
He had played it down before, so what is he coming back from? Being shot. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and just move aside. But Brian Robinson.
Maybe they do a miraculous return award.
Oh, I mean, hands down.
Yeah, that's
hands down.
Is Hamlin going to give him a run for it?
Well,
if he comes back. Well, no, he's got to come back.
He's going to sound fucked up, but Hamlin didn't play it down yet. You know, post. Maybe next year.
Okay.
We're interesting. We're entering very interesting territory.
Bayless.
Listen, listen, I'm happy. You did this. I just want to be very clear. You did this. Anyway, all right. So Terry McLaurin, John Dodson, Curtis Samuel, we've got some pieces on offense that are fun. And you saw the skill positions do some really exciting things. So it's appealing from that perspective, but you got to look at the bigger picture, and that's tough. Okay, so you have Brian Johnson, current quarterbacks coach for the Philadelphia Eagles, 35 years of age. Now, you know me, I like a young offensive mind in the building. We talked about this.
Young, supple.
We got Tom Brady as your quarterback. All right. So I'm sticking with Thomas Brown. I don't know how I'm getting through this right now. Thomas Brown, because the thing, just a little.
Think about that Brian Johnson.
So the thing is,
you think about Brian Johnson.
I actually picked someone older by 1 year. Thank you if you're still listening to this. Just to be clear, and I'm not talking to you, KDot. I'm talking to the rest of you that are still on, if any. So here's the deal. I would take Thomas Brown because for me, he's in the McVay tree officially. He does not call the plays, and for that reason, I think getting the opportunity to do so at such a young age, right, I think could appeal to him. So despite the turmoil around, he may look at it as an opportunity of, I feel confident in myself. I feel like I can get this done. You talk to people around Thomas Brown. He seems interested, like genuinely interested in this opportunity. And then you hear from local people, hey, we like the idea of Thomas Brown. So there is mutual interest, in my opinion, just based on what we're hearing. I would love to give him an opportunity. A young guy looking to prove himself, and whatever you believe about the assistant head coach role, like to your point, he was chosen by Sean McVay to be that. So I would take him. You talk about running the ball. He is a tight ends coach, but he's also a former running back. You look at that. Okay. And then it's a boring pick, but I'm going Sam Howell. I want to see a full year of him. And I'm also choosing Sam Howell because I'm not giving up future resources. That is the one thing I'm not doing. Right. I want to keep as many picks as possible. I want to be able to use that money, that salary cap money, towards other positions to help Thomas Brown out, to help Sam Howell out, to see what we can bring over here, right? Because if Thomas Brown wouldn't be coming here for 1 year, he would want to be here for longer. And I think he would get a genuine opportunity to do so with a young guy who wants to prove himself in Sam Howell and is going to listen, right? When I hear the Brian Johnson, Tom Brady thing, I think it's quite the idea, but I'm also thinking Tom Brady, you talk about who he is, the likelihood that he listens to anything Brian Johnson's going to say, I would genuinely be worried about that, right? It's purely hypothetical, I understand. But that's what I would do. I would go Thomas Brown, and he'll land on his feet no matter what, because he can always just say, I was in Washington in one of the most ridiculous years of all time in league history. And they'll be like, all right, cool. Like, he's not going to lose respect over 1 year at this job, even if it doesn't go well. So I go Thomas Brown, I go Sam Howell. Those are my picks. What do you think?
No, I think you make very, very sound arguments. Like at the end of the day, I'm like, I
loved your answer,
Brady.
By the way. Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of offense coordinators that excite me as far as being here in Washington. Some of the young guys, right? Brown, like I said, he's probably one of my favorite guys out of that bunch. You look at some of the guys that are still in the playoffs, like a Brian Johnson. You look at Bobby Slowick in the passing game coordinator in San Francisco. He'd be awesome. Both those guys, I think, are under 40 years old. So you when you look at that and you're like, oh man, those are really exciting things. But it's just the weirdness of this particular situation we find ourselves with the ownership change with Ron Rivera. It's like, even when I say like the Tom Brady thing, it's about, hey, what are you doing that you don't have to give up assets that hamper you in the future? It's the only reason Tom's on my list is he's a free agent. So like,
fair enough.
Nobody that you need to trade for. I like everybody talks about Lamar Jackson. I love Lamar Jackson. I live in Baltimore. I adore Lamar Jackson. But what you'd have to give up to go get him for an unsure situation and a offensive system probably going to have to change. How many years are you talking about pushing the can down the road before you're actually looking at something really competitive?
It's so well said, because no one's denying the talent of Lamar Jackson, right? So like when we say we don't want it, it's not that we don't actually, like, it's just we want a stable situation for him to come to and for us to have confidence in that system. Until then, if this regime makes the move and then they're gone after a year, that looks like absolute shit. It's just one of those situations where you need stability around a franchise piece like that. Simple. Should we just go ahead and jump over to the divisional pick recap?
Yeah, let's
and
do that.
the championship picks? All right. So last week, KDot, you picked Kansas City, initially Philly, switched to the Giants after some convincing from this guy.
Yep.
The 49ers and the Buffalo Bills. So you finished 2-2. I had all the same picks as you, except I had Cincinnati over Buffalo, finished 3-1. So I've got a 2-game lead on you with 3 games to go.
Son of a bitch.
So would you like me to go first this time so you could just counter each pick? Because I'll tell you what, KDot, I feel extremely confident in my 2 picks here.
I don't give a fuck what you pick. I'm not changing my pick. So go ahead.
Are you sure? Okay.
It's not.
Well, so we'll begin with the NFC.
And I know my record for the overall year is stellar, so I don't give a shit. Okay.
Yeah,
we're good. And fucking Buffalo's broken. Fucking bullshit.
Wow.
You ever notice Buffalo's going backwards? Have you noticed Buffalo's going backwards?
Oh, big time. I talked to Bernal about this.
AFC Championship loss. Then last year they lose on the road in the AFC division round. Now they lose at home in the AFC division round. So wild card bounce next year.
McDermott and Allen have been together for 5 years now.
Yep.
And it's going backwards, like you're saying. And Bernal had a very interesting theory where he goes, you want to be a 6 or 7 seed and make a little bit of a run, and that allows you to become a juggernaut over time. If you just have a great regular season and you get in, but you don't really do anything in the playoffs, it's not as valuable. It was a bit of an interesting conversation. That's something we could maybe talk about either after the pod or on another episode. There is some nuance with that, but I think it makes a lot of sense. I found myself agreeing with that take. San Francisco on the road. I am taking them, and I think it is, to me, a very obvious pick. I understand it's Brock Purdy on the road. Yes, he hasn't lost a game, but also you can understand a rookie in that type of environment folding and crumbling under the pressure. Love the offensive system in San Francisco, but that's not the reason I'm picking them, because Philadelphia has a good defense. The reason I'm picking them is because they can stop the run and they have the most athletic linebacking core in the league. So when you talk about Jalen Hurts being able to use his legs and the Eagles very smartly using his legs and limiting the number of throws last week, well, this week it's going to be interesting because Jalen will have to throw, in my opinion. And I think San Francisco is going to make that a little bit difficult for him. Yes, he has AJ Brown. Yes, he has Devontae Smith, but I think that's going to be difficult for him. Additionally, San Francisco, Kyle Shanahan's own running scheme. We talk about it. It's effective. The Eagles are going to have to stop that. They're going to have to. I'm not sure they can. Play action off of that. Give me San Francisco on the road. Your pick.
I'm also taking San Francisco. A lot of the same reasons you're saying. Now, Philadelphia beat the everlasting shadow of New York last week.
Yes, they did.
In a game that I knew I shouldn't have went that way with it. Because
I don't
the
know why I'm
Giants
smiling. Fucking got smoked on the pick too.
You had another pick, so it worked out for you, asshole.
It did.
Look, the Eagles mollywop the shit out of the Giants. But if you really look at the Giants, they've had feel good times, but it was like now we're playing a good team and this is what happens to us. Because you look at like the game between them and Minnesota was a game of 2 teams that weren't really up to snuff with the upper echelon of the rest of the league, with the rest of the conference. So that's where you saw just an outclassing, right?
Yes, we did.
Now, I don't the discrepancy between Philadelphia's talent and San Francisco talent is not that. I will give credit though. Jalen Hurts looked fucking good. Now
Yes,
he
he
didn't
did.
have to throw a whole lot in that game because they were up so fucking big so early. They were just kind of coasting. You look at the rushing numbers, they were insane. But like you said, it's harder to run against this San Francisco defense. But my biggest thing about it, Brock Purdy had arguably his worst game last week. And they still were able to overcome it. And what I don't really expect to see happen is back-to-back bad Brock Purdy games under a Kyle Shanahan-led team. So while he doesn't necessarily need to light up the scoreboard, right? But I don't see him having the performance. I see him throwing for a touchdown, right? So I see him looking better than he did last week because Kyle Shanahan is going to make sure he's prepared to do so. So that's why I go with it. I just think San Francisco, we've seen them be able to beat somebody, a damn good team. They beat with a subpar Purdy game, and
Correct.
they survived it. So
I completely agree. And then you see how the 49ers made Dak look. There's just something, and the run game wasn't there. I think Prescott either led them in rushing or was second, and I think maybe one Zeke run near the end put him over. Which, real quick, shout out to the Dallas Cowboys for one of the best plays of the year, putting Zeke under center and then throwing it to Turbin, who gets tackled immediately as Zeke gets pancaked.
Dallas,
it was a beautiful thing.
Shit,
it
man.
was a
Dallas
beautiful thing. We could probably do a whole episode on that play alone.
That was incredible.
So fun.
It was incredible. It was
so
absolutely
fun.
incredible. It was amazing.
Wasn't it out of a timeout? Like, I don't even remember.
Yeah, they had time to prep for it.
It was their first play.
Yeah.
And you just know they were talking on the sidelines. They're like, we're going to do it. This is the plan. Hilarious.
It was fucking terrible. But I will say this.
Yes.
I would not be surprised by either outcome in this game. I actually wouldn't be surprised by any outcome in this game.
I was going to say, I wouldn't be surprised by any outcome in both these games because the point spreads are also small. So the 49ers are 2.5 point underdogs. I feel supremely confident in them straight up, but the Eagles are the 1 seed for a reason.
But I can totally, if you gave me the narrative that, hey, Brock Purdy starts out not looking great, Philadelphia gets off to a fast start because of field position working in their favor. They're up 14-0. San Francisco has to get away from the rushing attack, and now they're throwing all over the place. Philadelphia goes up another score. San Francisco can't get right. 2-touchdown win by Philadelphia. I can totally buy that.
And there, I think Shanahan in that situation, let's say they go up 14-0 early, smart enough to stick to the run. I think this is where he goes, no, there is no way we're winning if we're just dropping back with Purdy.
Philadelphia's defense is good.
No, it's really good. I love their secondary. But anyway, so that's that pick. Do you want me to lead the AFC as well?
I feel like I know where you're going with this. So, yeah, go ahead. You go. I can lead. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not changing my pick. Although I'm not nearly as confident about it.
Okay, well then I'll go since I'm once again supremely confident about this pick. I'm going to parlay this, by the way. I think it's clear as day. I don't care if Mahomes' ankle was 100% healthy.
Yeah, it was happening.
The Cincinnati Bengals, not only is Joe Burrow, has he proven that he is a top 2 QB? I think he is the best quarterback right now, just in terms of how he's playing the position. That's 1. 2, that pass defense, based on average passer rating allowed, number 1 in the league. It's not something you would expect to hear, but Cincinnati's pass defense is legitimately good. It's not good. It's the best based on that statistic. They're also pretty decent against the run as well. I think it's an unheralded group on the other side where you just don't have a lot of star power necessarily with their names. But I love Cincinnati, and Joe Burrow, 3-0 against the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes in his career. There's just something about the bright lights with this guy that you can't shake. Give me Cincinnati on the road, and I'm very confident in this.
I totally understand. All those things
perfect.
you said were completely true. I'm picking the Kansas City Chiefs.
Fair
So look, Joe Burrow is turning in. I mean, I've been saying this ever since LSU. He was my guy, right? I've been a huge Joe Burrow guy.
And I wasn't. I will let you know. I could not be more wrong about Joe Burrow. He is phenomenal.
I love Joe Burrow. Just
you did.
To me, it's the confidence level, which speaks to something I'll get to in just a second. But I want to address the first one of the things you said that I need to make sure that I'm out here saying.
Mm-hmm.
Lou Anarumo, I think is his name, the defensive coordinator for Cincinnati Bengals, is doing the best job in the National Football League as a defense coordinator this year. And I say that knowing what it means. The talent level that they have on defense isn't bad at all. They've got talented guys on defense. But the thing is that there's no single iota of selfishness on that defense at all. If you look at the All-22 and what they do defensively, it changes completely depending on who they're playing. Quarterback-wise, it is this is what we're doing for this game. I'm going to coach you guys up for this game. This is what we're going to do for these guys. 1 high safety, 2, whatever. We're going to blitz here. We're not. The thing that they do amazingly against Patrick Mahomes is a lot of times they bring only 3 guys in pass rush. What they usually do is they bring 3, they drop one of the defensive linemen back a little bit in the zone, and they just watch the quarterback. And it's like Mahomes with enough time starts run, and then he tries to get the home run because he don't like checking down. And then all of a sudden he's run out of time. Nobody's open. It's game over. Now sometimes when he's able to move around a bit, he hits those strikes against Cincinnati. But as you even mentioned, his mobility because of the high ankle sprain is not looking good. It's just not looking good. Joe Burrow on offense, that coolness, right?
Oof. Yeah.
They have been Cincinnati has been talking shit this whole fucking week leading up to this game. They're talking shit. The Joe, what are they calling Kansas City? They have some Joe Burrow nickname or whatever for what it is because he owns them now. Is like 3-0. Kansas City seeing all of it. They're being asked, what do you think about Cincinnati saying all that shit? But it doesn't feel like hollow trash talk. It feels like
no, they backed it up even against Buffalo.
It feels Joe Namath. I'm calling my shot, right? That's what it feels like. They got a swag and an energy that is insane. And for those reasons, I'm making the wrong choice and still picking the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, look, I saw the practice video of Patrick Mahomes running around and stuff, not doing anything to really test the fucking ankle. If you know what an ankle injury is like, no side-to-side motion. When the rest of the team is doing the drills that will really test that ankle out, he's running off on the side and doing something else, right? So, yeah, he's not 100%. Not at all. But I still think there is nobody in the National Football League better than Patrick Mahomes. And I do think that all this shit that's being talked about him right now, this season overall has been I'm going to prove you motherfuckers wrong. You thought I needed Tyreek Hill and I wouldn't be able to do without him. I had my best fucking season as a passer without him. And the other thing that is a huge factor in it is when you look at when Cincinnati played them last time, you look at the last times that they've had to match up, the running attack for Kansas City has been pretty much non-existent. Isaiah Pacheco is my fucking guy.
He's a dog.
You saw that run.
He's a beast. Yeah.
My thing is I'm looking for Pacheco this game is what I'm looking at. I think that there is a fundamental difference in what it is that Kansas City's looking to do. You give Andy Reid enough time to think about it. You have Andy Reid that already played these guys early in the season saying, okay, motherfuckers, I got you.
And listen, I love where you're coming from, and I agree with a lot of this too. For me, you're looking at Pacheco. I'm looking at Chris Jones, first team All-Pro. I need him to have a huge game to see Kansas City win because my thing is, I don't think Kansas City can stop Cincinnati at all. I think that Cincinnati can stop Kansas City once, and I think once is enough, considering the other side can't be stopped in current form. That's where I'm coming from. I see what you're saying, and I'm so curious to see how this goes because here's the other thing. The last time, wasn't it 21-3 Kansas City? And they had that tackle just before halftime. I think it was the championship game. They're not going to get rattled if they go down early. They've already done it in Kansas City. So for me, it's just that Joe Namath cool, that swagger that Cincinnati has right now. This is a very real team. They're here to stay for a long time, provided Burrow stays healthy.
The only other part that I will mention here on this is Cincinnati is dealing with major injuries on their offensive line.
Yes, they are.
Told this year. Now they were missing 2 guys for the Buffalo game. They're still going to be out this week. It wasn't a huge factor in the Buffalo game, but what I think people need to realize is that I picked the Bills last week. But if I looked at really what the Bills have done recently, I should have known better. The Bills have not been good for a minute. And if you look at them even ranked defensively, what they do against the pass, it's been getting worse. So, if I'm looking at that and I'm looking at, all right, what did Cincinnati have to do against Buffalo? I look at a Buffalo team that truly regressed.
I see what you're saying.
And I look at a Buffalo team that hasn't really played anybody. I mean, this is a team that gave up, 31 points to the Dolphins, 23 points to the Patriots, even though that was that last week before the playoffs. You had the cancel game against Cincinnati. Cincinnati was beating that ass before the game started, right? And then they played, the Bears? So it's like the Buffalo Bills haven't really been tested. So
I see.
I look at that and I'm like, Cincinnati, if they get hit in the mouth right, On defense, you saw with Chris Jones, right? If you
Mhm.
can start rattling them cages with Joe Burrow, all you got to do is do it a few times and keep this as an offensive slugfest.
Here's what I'll say. This game's going to be dynamite.
Both these
both
games
these games are going to be great. I'm very excited for this championship weekend. I just wanted to point out one stat, KDot, because I was looking at it last year and I was very interested. I'd done an analysis on average team passer rating on offense and how many of those teams made the playoffs. I want to say 10 out of 12 or out of 14 or whatever it was were in the top 14. Right. So if you were to just say, okay, these 14 teams make it, and you were to just blindly guess on a statistic which one to look at, if you chose average team passer rating, you're right 10 out of 14 times. That's crazy. If you look at it this year, the final four, right? Kansas City, Cincinnati, San Francisco, Philadelphia, four of them, all four are in the top 5. 1, 2, 3, and 5. So when we look at building for our team, the Washington Commanders, it is we played the play GM game. It is very important that you get your structure right. Your offensive coordinator, your quarterback, and obviously you want the offensive line to be able to run everything. I just wanted to point that out as a pretty mind-blowing stat at what a insane indicator just one statistic can be for success.
No, totally understand. Nothing to get screwed up.
All right. Well, let's move over to the comment mailbag. But just to quickly conclude, KDot has San Francisco, Kansas City. I have San Francisco, Cincinnati for our picks this week. And yeah, let's go ahead and move over to the comment mailbag. Where
and I have bets on every combination of money line.
Do you? You're making money somehow. All right. So let's jump over. We got 2 from Mick G the second. The first one, what's up, fellas? What's up, Mick?
What's up?
Really appreciate the comment there. And then the second one, Shermer and Ben Johnson, your thoughts. So Pat Shermer, of course, has not been hasn't coached the last season, but before that, a very well-respected coach in the league. I'm not as high on him, nor do I think if he took an entire year off of coaching, would he want to come here necessarily. There are 13 OC positions available right now, which is a ton of positions. I think he's going to go to a place with a little more stability. Ben Johnson, Lions offensive coordinator. You know how I feel about him, KDot. I think he's a genius. I think he's a stud. He is staying in Detroit as offensive coordinator, which I think is very smart, honestly, for him. What are your thoughts on Pat Shermer?
Pat Shermer's one of those picks that makes sense compared to what it is that Ron Rivera has said, the philosophy of the team and what he wants to be. You're talking about a guy who has a lot of experience, and I actually think him taking a year off works in his benefit in the sense of this is not going to make or break him. Like after what happened at the tail end of the New York experience there for him and how up and down that
where he was head coach,
where he was head coach, it was a little weird. But then outside of that, you had the 2 years as offensive coordinator in Denver, and I mean, that second team, I guess, overperformed compared to what it is. The second year, they overperformed compared to the talent level that they had on offense. I look at a guy who has a lot of experience calling plays, that understands and knows at least to some degree how to work with some of these young quarterbacks that don't necessarily aren't the most talented quarterbacks. I think it makes sense. To me, it's along the same lines as like the Ken Zampies or a Darren Bevel or any of the other Darryl Bevel. Any of the other guys, or Stootsville, who's probably my top reasonable pick for us. It just makes sense to me. Like I understand it. I don't think it's a terrible idea at all.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's not exciting.
It's not. It's not.
But I don't think that we should be looking for exciting this offseason necessarily. Like to me, it's.
I think we may as well because we don't know how long it's going to last, right?
I don't know.
If you get exciting right, it's great. And if you don't, well, we sort of knew it was probably just going to be a 1-year thing anyway.
Yeah, but exciting could also lead to, especially what happens in Washington is you're exciting enough to get another year when you don't necessarily need a year.
Okay.
You're exciting enough to now we have more question marks going into the following year maybe with you.
It sounds like you're describing the Wizards.
No, the Wizards.
It's just like the mediocre. There's no excitement whatsoever.
Yeah,
actually, I take that back.
No, but
I said it, and then was like, you know what? That's not right.
No, why the Wizards are just bad. So the
in a playing spot right now. Again,
great.
I hate it. I hate it.
No, I even as we're going through the offseason, I find myself being more along the lines of where I was at the end of last offseason, and it feels like a trap.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would certainly agree with that. Part of the reason I want to start Sam Howell is because I don't mind it going catastrophically bad, right? I mean, we talk about the 2024 QBs and the draft class over there and how loaded it is according to experts. We'll see how it actually turns out. There's actually not downside to it going really badly. Anyway, let's move on to Johnny Otto. Shout out Johnny. Appreciate the comment as always. Whoever Ron chooses, they have to run a similar offense. We can't spend the next 2 years learning a whole new system and terminology. That's actually a really good point. Yeah. And it does make me rethink the Thomas Brown thing because, yeah, you probably do. And that lends itself to Ken Zampese, who we've talked about probably being the front runner because he knows Sam Howell. He knows the building. He knows the players. And that's why I think that's going to end up being the case there, KDot.
I brought that up as soon as Scott Turner got fired. I was like, look, we wanted this to happen, but did we want this to happen? Because now you have Sam Howell potentially going on in the following year, learning a second system, and then you have to kind of throw everything that he learned. Like, he did learn some things, right? But you want to see him build off the foundation he had from his rookie season, unless you're throwing the rookie season out the window. So now he looks like a rookie again this year, and you don't know where you have going into year 3 because there's been 2 systems already, potentially looking at a third. And it's like, okay, I just want to know where it is that you are. I need to figure out the variables, right? So it makes sense to me to keep things as boring as possible from last year to this year. The main concern I keep trying to stress, Scott Turner's scheme isn't shit. He was just a bad play caller. And to me, it makes sense if you bring a Ken Zampese. It's not exciting, but it makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, no, I would fortunately agree with that. Not exciting, but makes sense. Then we move on to Vindo. Shout out Vindo, who is now, I think, a regular in the District Divided family. Appreciate you. Appreciate the analysis of the QBs for the draft. Going a little off topic, did you hear about what RG3 said about admitting he should not have played in the divisional round after getting injured against the Ravens? I personally never thought the day would come, to be quite frank with you. Playing along with that, what your dark horse team for Lamar, because I don't think the Ravens will give him the best offer. I think that a franchise tag situation like Le'Veon Bell, not saying he'll end up like him, where he just sits out that year is entirely possible. All in all, it will be interesting to see. So first off, I did see the RG3 tweet where he did express regret in playing that game against Seattle, saying, hey, shouldn't have. And if you think about it from RG3's perspective, it makes sense, right? You see the rest of his career after that, and it was never the same. We had all in for week 1 after that. And a lot of it to me was self-inflicted, but yeah, I could understand the regret there.
I understood it. I appreciate him saying it,
yes,
especially because it was for Lamar's sake. That entire end of the RG3 era here in Washington, if I think about it too much, it makes my brain hurt, and I don't know who to trust, including Kyle Shanahan. Because I look at that situation from the very beginning. The owner, Dan Snyder, wanted RG3. The head coach and the offense coordinator did not want him. They drafted Kirk Cousins anyway. There is a certain level of there's a certain level at which you can understand, and there were some people that were saying this, I don't know if it's true, I don't want it to be true, that the Shanahans thought of RG3 as disposable because he wasn't their guy anyway. So let's get as far as we can with him, and then fuck it, we're going to Kirk Cousins anyway. Then you had somebody who was bullheaded in RG3. When you hear the story of Mike Tomlin talking about when Ryan Clark, and he knew you're not fucking playing, should have been the same thing that came from our head coach and everything. The moment they saw the way he looked out on that field, RG3, you're a fucking rookie. You're not playing. And that is always something that's bothered me about the entire situation.
All the more reason I can't wait for another owner. As for dark horse team for Lamar Jackson,
I got it.
Go ahead.
But go ahead. No, you go.
I was going to say reports are coming out that the Atlanta Falcons seem to be the front runner over here. And so the more I think about it, the more that makes sense. I mean, he would be going from the AFC to the NFC. That's 1. 2, if you look at that division, it makes all the sense. It is there for the taking. It makes all the sense in the world. Carolina just hired Frank Reich as their head coach. I don't know how I feel about that after the job Steve Wilkes did. There's a lot of opportunity in Atlanta right now. A lot. Drake London was a first-round pick who had a pretty solid year. I like that Falcons team as a bit of a dark horse there.
Was it Wilkes in Carolina?
Wilkes was in Carolina. Yeah, and he did to me, a spectacular job turning that entire situation around. Everyone was playing for each other. Carolina was hot for a while there.
Yeah, no, they look good. Yeah,
they look good.
Steve Wilkes just getting fucked left and right.
Yes. He handled it so well on Twitter as well, but you got to feel for the guy because he did a spectacular job. And then Frank Reich, who, I mean, he didn't do well in Indianapolis, frankly, all of a sudden has another head coaching opportunity. But yeah, let's talk about
I didn't know that people are talking about Atlanta Falcons. It's been sort of it's been like my secret thing.
Okay, well,
I guess so. I guess so.
They must have gotten in your brain and gone, you know what? Great idea.
The Atlanta Falcons have been building something. And I think people don't quite understand what it is they've been doing. They've been spending draft picks on offensive linemen going back a few years now. Guys that they're developing, guys that they're starting to fold in and bring into a system, right? They spent a lot of money on weapons. Drake London, even though Calvin Ridley's gone to Jacksonville right now, they got something back for him. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, in my opinion, the most athletically gifted fucking you have the
Cordero Patterson's a freak.
Could be more of a Debo Samuel type with the right guy and doing things as far as the run RPO. And not to mention having another black mobile QB in Atlanta to finish what Vic started.
The storyline's magnificent.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Lamar is loved in this city. I love having Lamar in Baltimore. Atlanta would flock to that fucking dude because he is perfect for that mentality.
He is perfect in every sense, right? Yeah. Of what Atlanta embodies culturally as well. Like it would be an awesome fit.
They have all the cap space in the world.
And who is in the NFC that is scaring you truly, right? So like Atlanta can make run after run after run with this guy. It could be super interesting. So anyway, that's what experts are saying. I'm including KDot in there. So we'll see what ends up happening. But yeah, we both think the Atlanta Falcons are the dark horse there.
They were 15th in points this year.
That has plenty of room to improve. In middle of the pack with Mariota, like not bad. All right, let's move on to Blood Clot. Shout out Blood Clot. Oh, gee. I really liked Hustle as well. It had a Rocky type feel to it. But instead of chasing a chicken, they were passing a ball through a large tire. That is true. On our draft prospects, I read an article on potential picks. They, of course, went over offensive linemen and corners as the top two choices. But third intrigued me. Michael Mayer, tight end from Notre Dame. The comparisons to Gronk started popping up, and I know writers always do that to any first-round tight end, but they say he is a legit, complete tight end, meaning he can catch and block well. And all of our tight ends had trouble blocking this season. That is 100% true. I think KDot was ready to fucking kill himself over the blocking that the tight ends did this season. Maybe this is what we need to help our line. Then solidify the line with picks later in the draft or in free agency. You think about Chris Paul, 7th round pick, who had a very nice game at the end. If you were to extrapolate that, that's unfair. But if you did, that's how fans think. I mean, when was the last time we picked a good tight end in the first round? Never. 6'4", 265 pounds. All the good teams now have an excellent tight end. Kelsey, Goddard, Schultz, Kittle. They may not be first rounders, but they might as well be. They're all game-changing players. When you have a tight end that can block and run routes at a high level, it opens up the playbook immensely. What do you guys think? KDot, let's start with you there.
I am so fucking on board with this. You have no idea. So that is something that I've been looking at because I know we're getting more questions about the draft. So I started doing at least a little bit of looking into, and I hate Notre Dame with a fiery, raging, burning fire. I grew up a Boston College fan, so fuck Notre Dame. And Rudy sucks. Outside, look, tight end for us means so much. The position was not okay this year. The guy that looked the absolute best for me was Rodgers. This season. Like by far,
Amari Rodgers, yeah.
But when you think about what the tight end's supposed to do, for a young quarterback, your safety valve. Your safety valve. The guy that you can check the ball down to because he's usually not being covered the same way that the wide receivers are, and usually you can get something quick. Also, blocking. How many times did you see a tight end or a wide receiver or something trying to pick up or put some sort of pick on a D end and it get blown the fuck up and put pressure on a quarterback's face? We need it so bad. And if you're sitting there at the first pick and you got a guy like Michael Mayer right there, a dude that's supposed to be like a generational talent, I don't walk, I run to go do it.
Is it Mayer or Meyer? Because for some reason I think it's Meyer,
It's
but
Mayer.
It's
I call
is
it
it
Mayer
Mayer?
because it's like John Mayer.
I know, but Michael Meyer, you think about. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of cool.
Well, Myers M-E. Mayer's
Right.
M-A.
Meyer. Yeah. Mayer.
Mayer.
Yeah. I clearly outed myself as not
And
watching
then
any
Brett
Notre Dame football
Maher,
here.
who's with an H,
Legend.
not a Y.
Legend. Good for him making those 2 kicks, by the way. His career was on the fucking line there.
He's a cowboy. Fuck him.
As for me, blood clot, I'd have to think more about it, to be totally honest. Just because my general philosophy on taking a tight end in the first round, I wouldn't really do it unless the guy is truly special, and I don't know enough yet about Michael Mayer to be able to say that he is truly special. I remember seeing Kyle Pitts and going, "Oh my God, KDot, you got to see this guy!" And all of a sudden, we were both like, "Holy shit, this dude's unbelievable!" If Mayer's got it in him, then I don't see why not. All you're trying to do is make your football team better, and if you're able to do it, you're able to do it. This isn't like the running back position where the league has definitely gone the way of they are replaceable. Unfortunately, it sounds fucked up to say, but like you see guys in the 7th round or undrafted come in and can average 4 to 5 yards a carry, and it's like nothing changed, So tight end is an interesting one for me though. So I'm gonna have to think more about it. I would still lean corner or O lineman. I would still lean corner, honestly, but we'll see how my mind goes as I learn more about Mayer. I appreciate the shout out there.
I think it'd be a travesty not to draft one because it is a fair.
I would agree.
I like a lot of the guys, like Darnell Washington from Georgia. It's fucking dope to have him. Like there are a lot of guys right now that I would not.
Is that dude
mind.
a freshman or sophomore, by the way?
Darnell?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I'm gonna look it up right now because I am curious about that. Because he's a big boy. Isn't he the 6'7" dude?
Yeah, 6'7", like 270.
Oh no, he's a junior.
He's junior. Yeah,
he's a junior. Yeah, 6'7". My God.
So insane catch radius, can block his ass off. Great in run blocking. Georgia's been amazing.
Oh, dude. So when you search it on Google, a bunch of pictures of Darnell Washington, but then it's ESPN and it's this small little box and it's this just white dude. And it says Darnell Washington stats news 5. That's definitely not him. And then the last comment, which was, shout out DJ Turner. Phenomenal comment because you were 100% correct. DJ goes, and we appreciate the comment, DJ. Giants are going to, unfortunately, in parentheses, this is a Vikings fan, get rolled. They had an unbelievable offensive performance against the Vikings, 31 points on only 7 drives, due in large part to their ability to exploit soft zone coverage and Jones being able to climb the pocket and scramble for yards. The design QB runs did not do much damage. Vikings cornerbacks cannot play man. Eagles are great at it. Vikings couldn't get pressure up the middle, but the Eagles will. You see the 38-7 score. You see how the game played out. DJ, take a bow, son. That is a phenomenal comment.
Should have listened to you and not Amit.
Yeah. Oh, that, by the way, always listen to DJ over me. So whenever you see a comment from DJ, feel free to then write in the comment section, KDot. I'm changing my pick back to Philadelphia. You are able to do that. So DJ, if you want to help KDot out here, you are welcome to do so. Anyway, guys, this was District Divided. That was the comment mailbag. Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. If you're still with us after that absolutely ridiculous DeMar Hamlin conversation we had, if you enjoyed today's episode, please like the video, please share it, please subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot. Click the notification bell and comment as you always do. We really appreciate the comments and interacting with you guys.
Oh, and check out my new podcast.
Plug it.
Yeah, it should be coming out. This comes out on Friday. I'm recording it today. It should be out this weekend.
What's it called?
The Extraordinary Nobodies. It's me and the guy who's been on the podcast before. Talk to all the time. Me and Brendan, my buddy, giant asshole that he is. It's
going to be great.
It's going to be great. Topic number 1, vaccines. We're keeping it spicy, guys. We're keeping it mad spicy.
Where can we find this podcast, KDot?
On YouTube. It'll also be on Spotify, Apple Music, things like that. Once it's up and loaded, we'll drop a link maybe here in the description from this.
Yeah, drop it in the description. Drop it as a separate comment as well, because then it'll get read in the comment mailbag. So we're already promoting it for the next episode.
I love that.
There you go. But yeah, after the pod begins right now. The Extraordinary Nobodies. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. You guys are really, really good together. I remember you guys did the was it the Black Lives Matter episode together?
Police brutality.
Policing in America.
Correct.
And that was a phenomenal episode.
I appreciate
I
that.
thought that was spectacular. And how many views did you end up getting on it? Good number.
Like 30, 40,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Awesome
I'm happy
conversation.
with it. It was I was really happy with it. I just look, if you guys notice, like I do. All right, here's what it boils down to for me. Okay, I do 2 podcasts right now. Dish Divided, which I love doing, and I do another podcast called All Sorts of Sports. Now,
All sorts of sports.
yeah, oh right, you didn't, yeah, that's singing our
I
song.
watch.
So
I watch.
yeah, I know,
Yeah.
So look, if it were up to me, the only sport I'd ever talk about is football and the Commanders specifically. So, like, if I really had to make my pick, right? So, like, when I do all sorts of sports, I can go through. I mean, I have opinions on everything that's happening in sports, but it doesn't. I'm not the guy. I mean, sports betting's kind of changing that. I'm up at night watching basketball, and I shouldn't be. But the overall, like, there are certain topics that I want to cover, but there's not. I'm not hugely into sports as other people are. I'm not up every day. I don't have to watch every game. Even during the football season, when the Commanders game is off, I'm on the road. If they play at 1, I'm not watching a 4 o'clock game. Rarely ever. I got other shit that I want to do. I got movies I like. Shit that I want to. So I wanted and as you can tell, this after the pod segment, as much as I love the Commanders, it's our favorite segment here.
It is. It's so much fun to just decompress, relax, and just see where the
chill.
Conversation goes.
Now, the only other part of that is that you guys can kind of see when I'm here on this pod, I do 100% hold back on some of the jokes I want to make, some of the comments I want to make, because I care about Amit's future.
I'm going to keep saying, go for it.
He doesn't understand. He's not ready for that. So
yeah, I think I'm more ready than you think.
So that's why
I'm right now.
So that's why this episode that I'm going to do with this other show, I'm starting with fucking vaccinations, because the take that I have is not going to be the take that you think I have. If you've heard me talk about vaccinations, I think people can change their minds on things. And I think that there's a conversation that needs to happen. And I'm excited about talking about shit that I don't really usually have an outlet for. But I do all sorts of sports. I love the other episodes we do. We do these other things called Unequal Opinions. We talk about movies.
Those are
shit
fun.
Like that.
I could see you light up on those. Yeah,
I have more fun with that. It's like all sorts of sports week in and week out. I love the guys that do the pod with, but it feels sometimes like a chore. Like I gotta, what about this? Well, I gotta care about this sport thing that I don't give a shit about. And it
I think that's why I think that's why I appreciate this one also, is because it's very much let's quickly run through the news real quick, and then let's just go ahead and shoot the shit and see what happens. And it's very, very enjoyable for that reason. I appreciate that about it. I wanted to say, so you talked about movies, stuff like that.
Yes.
I saw Everything Everywhere all at once. Your number 1 movie of 2022. I saw it. I didn't even know, because you were even like, you just got to see it. Yeah. My sister recommended it to me also. I have a very high respect for her movie opinions as well. And so I was like, if KDot and my sister are mentioning, shout out Nandini, if they're both mentioning this movie, it must be seen. It's that simple. Went into it not knowing anything about it. Mind-blowing. I'm not even going to attempt to explain what I saw, but it was incredible. It's what a movie's supposed to be, is what I'll say. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Thank you so much for the recommendation. And thank you, Nandini, for the recommendation. Loved it.
It's one of those movies that stick with you. And that's what I love about it. I own it. I watch it quite a few. I at least start it a bunch of times. As far as successfully getting through the entire, I think I'm at 4 or 5, something like that. But I adore the movie. I don't love the fan base of the movie as much. It feels very, I think I might have said this here, it feels very Rick and Morty, which I am a huge Rick and Morty fan. I don't admit that out loud to most people anymore because with the fan base, and then also Justin Roiland, and I have connections to somebody with that, and so I feel awkward even saying that. But the idea is that I can quietly be a fan of something because of the toxicity within the fan base that want to scream at you that if you don't like this, you're a dummy. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's all bullshit. I think people that are doing that are just attention seeking, and that's all there is to it. You're allowed to enjoy something and allowed to not enjoy something. That's totally fine.
Which is what scares me when it comes to Everything All at Once at the Oscars, because I do think that the fan base for this movie have been kind of annoying. Now it hasn't hurt Michelle Yeoh and I always fuck his name up. the lead, her husband in the movie.
Mhm.
I don't know why I can never remember.
I know who you're talking about, but yeah, hold on. I can also pull it up if you want me to.
Key. I forget his.
Could you hear me type, by the way? This is good to know moving forward.
No.
Perfect. That is awesome.
Is it Kiwi Kwan?
Yeah.
Kiwi Kwan.
Yeah, I don't know the proper pronunciation.
I think it's Kiwi Kwan.
I was also presently surprised to see both Jenny Slate and Jamie Lee Curtis in it. I was not expecting that.
Mhm.
It was pretty random, but it was really fun. And how do you? Is it Stephanie Sue? Is that her?
Sue?
Sue?
I think it's Sue.
Phenomenal. Oh my gosh! Like some of her
Absolutely.
facial expressions.
She was a revelation.
So
And
good.
The
Yeah.
second time I've ever seen her in a movie, most people don't even remember the first time they saw her in a movie, or at least the first time, like really, really wide recognition in a movie. She's in Shang-Chi.
Okay.
She's
Which I obviously have not seen. No,
Okay.
I just literally pretend that 2023 is the first year I started watching movies. I've seen Hustle. I've seen Everything Everywhere All at Once. And for your sake, assume I've seen nothing else.
That's fair. So she's in Shang-Chi. She plays Shang and Awkwafina's friend, the one that likes telling them they need to get their life better.
I do like Awkwafina. Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan. So
my sister got me hooked. I like Awkwafina.
She's small doses.
Fair enough. No, it's not someone I could tolerate for like.
It's like
hours.
the Kevin Hart list. Like if you give me more than an hour Kevin Hart in anything, I'm like,
that's enough.
I'm good. I'm good. You got friends like that, right? Like they're just
of course,
too much energy.
Of course, you need
kinda...
certain ones you need in small doses. Nothing wrong with that either.
No, they're great for what they're great, but it's like I just can't deal
for
with
the role they serve in your life. Is that what you're about to say? Yeah.
For no, they're great as people. It's just I can't deal with too much of that. And too much of anything it's not necessarily good for you, right?
Everything in moderation, KDot.
Everything. Not everything.
There it is.
Yeah, but everything should be. But I don't necessarily moderate.
I like that. Everything should be in moderation.
Yeah, but not everything.
It's a good general guideline.
But Stephanie and Jamie Lee both nominated for Best Supporting Actress in the Oscars, which is huge. Two people from the same movie. I think I started getting the inkling that Jamie Lee was going to be nominated. I was still kind of surprised by it, but I am just elated for Stephanie getting the nomination. Also, Brian Tyree Henry. I always get his fucking name confused. He is an amazing actor.
Mm-hmm.
Have you watched Atlanta?
I have watched Atlanta. Yes.
He's Paperboy.
Oh, I love Paperboy. Okay.
So Brian Tyree Henry has been a dude that has been sort of below the radar for a little bit, cranking out fucking next level performances. And he does it so subtly. He's the best part of the Eternals, the Marvel movie that everybody fucking hates. He's amazing. He was the one in
Bullet Train, right? I remember seeing the first 20 minutes.
Bullet Train.
He's hysterical in that.
He's great in Bullet Train.
Yeah.
But he did he was in Widows, which was dope. Boardwalk Empire, I think he had a bit part there. But where a lot of people knew from an artistic standpoint is the Steve McQueen. No, it was If Beale Street Could Talk.
Okay.
Who directed that? Barry Jenkins. He's great in that movie, and he got overlooked as far as the Oscars go. So this feels like they're making it up for him because he's in a movie called Causeway, which is on Apple Plus if you have it. Starts a Jennifer Lawrence vehicle. I really appreciated that movie. I thought it was a damn good movie. It wasn't the career turn that Jennifer Lawrence needed, even though I think it could have done it if more people saw it. But I don't think people watch stuff on Apple Plus.
I just wanted to I wanted to change gears. It's still in just like general media that you can consume, stuff like that, TV shows. What is the best TV show ending? Like the best episode to wrap up a show that you've ever seen?
Oh.
Because I just saw a show, it's an anime called Mob Psycho 100. And I watched the finale on Tuesday, and I watched it not knowing if there was going to be an additional season. I just sort of knew it was the season finale. And it hit me this morning while I was in the elevator, actually, where I thought about it and I was like, wait, holy shit, there shouldn't be another season. I think that was it, because it was perfect. The more I thought about it, I was like, wait a minute. There's one very subtle scene where I said that actually wrapped everything up and I didn't even notice. And then I looked it up because I was like, you know what? Reddit tends to be pretty good about when this stuff, like, when it's adapted by the manga, is it done? Like, stuff like that. And I searched it on Google. There is not going to be another season. It actually was the finale. And it was, in retrospect, an absolute masterpiece.
Wow.
Incredibly well done the way it wrapped up, and I didn't even notice until 3 days later. It was incredible.
That's dope. That's really dope.
Yeah.
I did start Invincible.
Yes, fun.
I'm on
Very
episode
fun.
1. I literally just started not too long, like a couple days ago.
But that's ongoing.
Best TV finale, best TV ending.
Like
MASH,
series finale.
MASH is incredible.
Okay.
6 Feet Under. Oh my God, is the last episode of 6 Feet Under incredible.
Yeah.
I appreciate the ending of The Wire.
I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Don't love season 5.
Is that the newspaper one? Everyone calls it the newspaper one. Okay, everyone calls it that. Yeah.
The newspaper one's around. I'm a huge fan of the ending of Lost. The only thing that ruins Lost is a show that I rewatch every 3 years or so. I go back and because it's a fucking commitment. The only thing with Lost is that there's an episode. It's not the penultimate episode, I don't believe, but I think it's like 3 episodes from the end. There's one of the worst episodes of TV I've ever seen in my entire life, which always sort of impacts the way I'm feeling going into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I will give you the finale because these are all my runners up to what actually to me was the best ending I've seen in the show that blew my mind. It was recommended by a friend of mine's girlfriend, and I marathoned it last year. The Good Place. The NBC comedy with Kristen Bell and Ted Danson.
That's the one where she's probably supposed to go to hell, but accidentally gets admitted to heaven. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. I've seen a few episodes of it. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
I thought the finale of that show was perfect.
Okay.
I have no criticisms for it at all. I understand I have had conversations with people about it since I've watched it. And you can get different things out of it. I know some people were angry with the ending of that show, but I really do think it is perfection. Oh, also, I can't not mention The Sopranos.
Okay. And I want to be clear. So Mob Psycho 100, I think is a very, very good show. I think it's a great show. I don't think it's the best thing I've ever seen, but I will say, just specific to this question, I check normally on Reddit, there's someone that's pissed off.
Always.
0 people upset with the way it ended. They were like, that was genuine perfection. Everybody. And so that is one of those things. It's not even up for debate amongst fans, amongst non-fans. Those that saw it went, wow, well done. Thank you for that show. It was incredible.
Yeah.
So I've never seen a reaction to something like that.
Every ending I think that I named was controversial, except
for
6 Feet
Under.
Under.
Controversy here.
6 Feet Under wasn't controversial because everybody knew when they were watching it. Holy shit, we watched them, and they stayed true to who they were. But the Good Place to me, that show had no business being as good as it was.
I really did enjoy it when I saw it. I don't know why I stopped.
The thing is, I'm not a network TV guy at all.
Yeah. These days with stuff Netflix is putting out, HBO is putting out, like it's so much better.
So just watch the entire series on Hulu and pretended it was never on TV was good for me. And being able to watch it all the way through, because I started watching, I think it was like a month after the finale, and I was never in any conversation with anybody about The Good Place, so I was able to get through it. But I remember watching that finale. I might want to pop it on again at some point today. Just crying, but happy.
Yeah.
Like if you can make me feel those two things, like a sadness, but also a happiness and an understanding and acceptance.
Yeah.
And as someone who's experienced a lot of loss and grief in their life, it was a hell of an adult way to handle it.
Damn. Okay. Well, you got me intrigued. I'm very curious to see how The Good Place. How many seasons of The Good Place are there?
I don't know. It all blended together.
Okay.
Because I literally,
I'll assess the commitment level,
bro. When you know me, like you saw how long did it take me to get through Attack on Titan?
That's true.
I treat it like a job. If I'm going to do it,
Fair
I
enough.
fucking go ham. But
Speaking of, did you see the new trailer drop? And did you see that they're splitting season 4, part 3 into 2 parts? I cannot stand this fucking show. It is so annoying how long they have drawn this out. But this, to me, has the potential to be one of the greatest shows ever, depending on its ending.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch some more of it and watch it before the new season. I did not see a new trailer. I saw what I thought was a teaser trailer a few months ago.
I
Is it
would
something
honestly,
newer?
if I were you, yeah, so it's a 30-second trailer. They dropped it. The new season starts March 4th.
Holy shit!
Yeah, they were just like, yep, we're just gonna go ahead and start that.
Yeah, I might have to start my rewatch.
Yeah. I think it's brilliant for people. And once again, please no spoilers on the manga stuff and stuff like that. But it's something you can show to other people because it doesn't give anything away, and it is creepy. Like, it is a really, really good. I showed it to my sister, and she was like, "Holy shit!"
Okay, I'm gonna check that out.
Like, I'll send it to you after this. 30 seconds. Brilliant.
I did find it's a good place. Is 4 seasons, 53 episodes, and I was totally
Oh, that's
wrong.
not bad. Okay,
I was in it 22-minute episodes, and then
not bad at
I
all. Yeah.
also I was 2 years late. It ended 2 years before I watched this thing.
Gotcha.
Because really, after I've been watching it, the only people I've been talking about it with. So my friend hated it, but his girlfriend loved it. So like me and her loved the show, and he's on the outside like, I just don't understand, man. It just wasn't good.
Yeah,
but he has terrible taste.
Oh man. But anyway, no, I'll send you the I'll send you like, I'm gonna look into The Good Place. That's not nearly as large a commitment as I thought it would be. It's just 53 episodes. I mean, watch one every now and then. I'll finish that, no problem.
It's
Good Place.
It's a good damn show, and the writer for it was a dude that did
Christian Bell's hilarious too.
Christian Bell's awesome, but he did The Office. He wrote a lot for The Office. He wrote a lot for Parks and Rec, and he co-created Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna love this show. It's not Ted Danson. What?
Yeah.
It is Ted Danson, right?
Okay.
He's the older guy that like. Does he manage heaven? Is that his?
Don't want to give that away.
Okay, fair enough. Good Place.
That show takes twists and turns, bro.
I'm looking forward to it. And this is on.
I really don't understand why the show is as good as it was. I don't understand.
This is on Hulu, right?
I think it's on Hulu or Peacock. One of them, whoever has the NBC show. It might even be.
Oh
on
yeah,
Netflix
it'll definitely be on Peacock.
But I think with enough years that have gone by, I don't know who owns rights to what or where they're distributing.
All right, I'll check it out.
I think I watched it on Hulu, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, well, I got to call it here. This has been a hell of an episode. Really appreciate you guys for listening. Really appreciate you, KDot. And we will see you guys after championship weekend. DJ, please drop your picks so that we can all make some money. That was a hell of an analysis on the Giants-Eagles game.
Help us
See you
out.
guys.
Losing
Please.
money, tons of money.
Please make us money.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.